All these 360 views, are they all the lenses set at the same distance?
That is calculated with the shutter all in synchronized, and there is a cloud stitching happening, which is very, very expensive. Like, it goes back to the normal filmmaking which happened 100 years back. So I recently did a project where I couldn't even see what was happening. So I had to trust that the John was taking everything and wait and watch the fun. So now we're seeing all the rough stitches of that project.
So you mean that like in the old days you'd have to shoot and then wait till the lab processed and then see it. So it's the same thing here.
Somewhat very similar. So we have a smaller camera with a wireless thing which can show partially what you need to see. The rest of the stuff is you have to wait for the stuff. So when we're shooting, literally everybody has to go and hide. The lights have to be, I'm talking like a filmmaker now. The lights have to be kept in a way where it can be removed later. We could have to take a plate and then erase it out later, in case we need real lights.
So basically, if you have a circular set, the camera is going to film the whole circle.
Yeah.
Like I saw your UN film, and it was very interesting because when I started swiveling on the chair, I could see behind me, and I saw some people in the audience, and one man was sitting there texting, while you were...
He was a PR guy. I realized he looked very stylistic.
Yes. But so that you can actually see everything. But what I found fascinating was the fact that because you are swiveling and you're turning yourself, you are becoming the camera, and you, the person, becomes the
point
director.
of view. Yeah.
So was that the thing that excited you?
The thing which excited me was how emotionally it connected, not the possibilities of, as I told you, for the first time you can see somebody here. And you can also realize in sound, you can do much more with the sound. It's not only visuals, you can go dark and then there's 3D sound, binaural sound, and then other sensory things are all getting added to it. So it's very, very exciting what could happen in a year. The only thing which you'll miss is texting or tweeting while you're locked, which is a good thing. So if the content is really good, they wouldn't have to do that.
Now tell me a little bit about the duration, because people are saying that because of the headset and the very experience which is so omnipresent and you're immersed in it, that it's difficult to have very long films. Do you think that's true?
Again, it depends on the movies. If something is too much, it's like somebody's playing a trumpet at a distance, or somebody comes and plays it and you're here. You know, the difference is you have to be very sensitive, you have to be very soft when you're playing. So it's like visuals like that. It's in your eyes, it's really in your face. And so the 2D fast cutting and moving the camera, all this makes you throw up.
So you have to be quite stable.
Very, very. It's like almost theater meets computer graphics meet reality.
Well, that's a great way of explaining it. And tell me, in terms of the sound, okay, we've seen your UN film, and music performance gives itself quite naturally, and that's why people are talking about recording performing artists. Do you think there's special work? What special work do you have to do with the sound?
In case of VR, I'm doing another project, secret project, which I'll tell you later, that had 9 mics. It was done in Auro 3D, and every time we roll the camera, the guys would come with on a tree kind of mic set. It's almost like 10 feet, all the mics, to record all the stuff for that to play back.
So it is quite elaborate.
It is.
And what about, for example, they are saying that the gaming industry is it's a natural home for them. Do you think that's true?
I think there's a world beyond gaming industry in this, and it's yet to be discovered. That's what I felt. Live, like what we're doing now, could be really, really live. Like one of the Oculus press meets, they had something very, very cool. They would have people in different countries sitting in the same table, but you feel that they're here with you. So those kind of things. But the main narratives are yet to come in, and that'll be really, really cool to watch movies. which are meant for VR.
That would be quite difficult because you've got also to control the dialogue and the listening and the attention, so that's going to be very difficult. Now, everybody in the Western world is absolutely excited by this. Do you find the conversation about VR very different in India and there?
I've traveled probably to US, Japan, Europe. In Europe, all the VR headsets are unsold. It is kept. In the US, it's all sold out. So it depends on country to country. People willing to adapt it. I went to Japan, Fukuoka, and they didn't even know what VR was. Oh, VR, I know. No, I don't know what. So it's in India. Some people know, some people don't know. So it's slowly coming up. Yes.
And do you see it actually being something that? I read an article which was with Tim Cook from Apple, and he said he didn't see the future in VR because it was such an individual experience. You're kind of isolated, whereas cinema is a community experience. Do you agree with that?
Partially, because everybody is discovering it. And they might discover something unique about it, or some people might say, this is not for me. So even filmmakers, I was in Rome recently and had a similar kind of workshop in the Film Institute, and some students were intrigued, some were like, no, it'll be a failure. And so it's interesting. It's good to have two opinions, and we'll know, time will tell the result. In a year or two, we'll know what it is. But definitely it's got something extraordinary about it.
But for you, what do you think was the most exciting thing about VR?
A whole new way of experiencing, immersive, and I took probably 2-3 months to get used to it. Before it was 5 minutes, then I was sitting for 6 hours. First few months I got vertigo. And now my body is used to it. And just to experience a lot of clips, what to do, what not to do, if you're exploring it artistically.
And is it the visual side or the sound that interests you?
Mainly the possibilities. What is appealing and what is not appealing to. Some of them are doing too much and it gives me dizziness.
And do you see it being used for archive? For example, could you have old pictures and new pictures and see the difference of cities, for example? What kind of subjects could be really exciting to see in VR?
I think the artistic forms, dances, music. So if you're in a symphony and you're sitting in a chair, so there's a front row of violins and you're sitting in the back, you can watch what's going around. You can see the timpani player, you can see the brass section. And that's one experience you can never get, all those things. You're in a temple, you can see the people worshipping, or in a shrine. So the experience of, it's going to break all the laws and take you to a whole new different world.
I'm sorry to be banal, but I saw something on television in London, and they said that estate agents were very keen on VR because instead of visiting the flat that you want to buy or rent, they could show you the VR and you would see the whole perspective of the apartment. So it has a commercial use and a very important medical use as well. Had you seen any medical films?
No.
And do you see it having a great interest in India? Do you think it's something that will appeal to Indian audiences?
I think the phones, the next generation of phones, if it becomes 4K and 8K, it's very simple. Just put your phone in, you don't have to buy anything, and that's the answer. So you have something which is, you don't have to buy for the sake of buying VR, and it's 2-in-1. It's personal.
You know, when cinema was very strong, obviously, and then television came and everyone said, oh, now people will not watch films because there's, because there's television. Do you ever see that the VR could become, because we do live in a very individualistic society, could VR become the next thing for a certain class of people?
No, I think they've broken that. Because the phones are so cheap. Not cheap, actually. But it's accessible for everyone. Like everybody has an iPhone, everybody has a Samsung, and so that way they've reached out to everyone already. So that's what makes me believe that it could be a success because they've cracked the whole code of bringing it to everybody's house.
And I believe it's a very, very good device to use for documentaries as well. Have you seen any documentaries in this
There are
form?
mainly documentaries being done on this, rainforest. So mainly what's available is documentaries. We watch any 2D movie converted, looks very bad.
So it has to be shot on that camera.
Yeah. And the style of filmmaking, the style of narrative has to be more slower, I think.
I mean, the movement is not so possible. And if you were to imagine conceiving a scene which is in 360 degrees, what is going to be your dramatic problems?
There are no problems. You just have to go into the mode and do it. And I particularly like nature. I like to shift my environment from a box of a flat to the Himalayas or Antarctica or a jungle in Africa or in India, Ladakh. So these are the fun part.
But do you think it is maybe storytelling will be possible as well?
A lot of people are experimenting. I think Spielberg is investing 25 million in one of the projects.
In a story, in a film?
Yeah, a couple of years.
And can it be very long? I mean, because people now, mostly the VRs are 5 minutes, 6 minutes, because of this problem of feeling dizzy. Can you see it being quite long?
I think there'll be options. You can watch it in 3 parts or one alone.
It's like the television box sets. Everybody watches, whatever. I can't imagine a VR binge viewing. You have to think of that. And do you see that there is a kind of a big audience globally? Do you think all cultures would like
Those are the
this?
questions which are not unanswered questions. It's a leap of faith that I'm doing projects on it already and just to see the possibilities. There's no assurance of money returns yet, except for gamers. I think even that is slowly opening up.
Is it a very expensive production, a VR film?
Right now, there's no one camera which said this is the camera. Everybody experimenting with different cameras. And the format now seems to be, the good format seems to be 4K 60 FPS and stereoscopic. So the difference between stereoscopic and monoscopic is, stereoscopic is like 3D, monoscopic is you see all over 3D, but it's normal. So I prefer 3D stereoscopic.
Can you explain that again? I didn't get it. So it's
monoscopic is like, you can see planetary images, it's all over the place. So it's 2D, and stereoscopic is literally somebody's here.
So if you've got a soundtrack where you want the attention to be here, and then after, say, 20 seconds, you want it to be there, how will you organize this?
So that's on the Sony PlayStation VR, there is a device which does that now. And they launched it. It requires a lot of computing, so the phones can't do it, I guess. So I saw that on PlayStation. Not checked that in the Oculus or the Vive yet.
I'm going to ask probably a stupid question, but when you do the background score for a film, you see it obviously on the screen. Now you've got a situation where you're watching 360 degrees. How do you watch it and compose?
It's about the emotion. So the pads or the atmosphere could be stereoscopic, stereophonic rather, and the main instrument can of course travel with the viewer's eyes. So it tracks the movement of the head.
Do you think kids like the VR?
I don't know.
Have your kids seen the UN film?
I'm the kid.
This was probably true, but tell me something. What about there's a lot of debate, I've seen lots of articles, especially in England and so on, about the whole question of filmmakers saying, what is the narrative form that VR will take? Because you've got this diverse attention, they're all discussing this, but what's your instinct tell you? Will it become like stories like films, or is it closer to gaming, or is it theatre, or is it something we don't know?
I think something we don't know. We all like to go to a place where it's special. And that's some of the projects I'm experimenting with, which I'll let you know in the future. So we want to take you to a place where you've never been, but it's very special. It's a created culmination of music, visuals, and other sensory aspects.
Do you think it was this kind of leap of faith and this kind of journey into the visual future that excited you?
Yeah, you get bored after. I get bored very easily, as I told you last time. And so this opens up a whole new world. And things which there's no question of, hit film, flop film, or it's just there. It's like an art installation. You can experience it anytime. There's nobody telling you, this is great, this is done well. It's you to decide what it is. It's very individualistic and not somebody telling you that it's good or bad. What do you take from it?
I don't know, we can't see the audience, but is it, Anupama? Is it possible to see the audience?
No,
Can you put up your hands? How many people have seen VR?
wow.
The majority.
Geeks.
Was it here? Everywhere.
I know, unfortunately, that was just half the quality.
Yes.
But,
Did you
couldn't
see
get
the
off
VR in the VR lounge? No?
How many of you didn't like it? You didn't like it? Why? Sorry? Yeah, because it was a...
It was very low res.
So I'll select you to watch the real quality online.
We had distortion effect also.
Sorry?
Distortion effect, some eye problem. Maybe due to low quality has
Down
included
press, yeah.
distortion.
How many of you liked it? Why did you like it?
Possibilities of the different content that you get to see and how it changes the narrative of the story itself.
Okay.
I completely relate to you when you say it was such an individual emotional experience. I watched the Syria documentary, which was being told from the point of view of a 13-year-old girl about 300 Syrian kids that were displaced from their own country.
It's beautiful.
And you look at them and you're there with them almost. If you've got to immerse yourself into it, and you've got to not have too many distractions, but you're there with them and you realize that, my God, this thing is happening, and you're so far away from it, but still you're there.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Great,
I could watch VR throughout my life. It's beautiful.
You have to join me then.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing with VR is the sound. If you have that spherical sound experience 360, then only the VR is immersive. Only visual cannot help.
Yeah.
So that's the basic thing.
Yeah.
Is there any other comment?
I think it's nice. Let them talk.
Yes. What else?
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
It's an enjoyable experience to see the VR. But I was just, it is strenuous on the eyes. It has to constantly open up and close, and the pupil gets a little bit strained.
So I think for the first time, I took around 2 months.
Wow, that's what
So
conditioning.
first it was just 2 minutes, and then it was 20 minutes, and then 2 hours, and then your body gets used to it.
But I enjoyed the fact that I'm getting into another world. It's like Alice in Wonderland experience.
Yeah.
That's a great description. Anybody else?
What I really set a chain of thought off in my mind, if we could use this technology and probably, if we were looking for an answer, what would happen if you die? And, if you were to visit heaven or hell, if someone was to answer that question, it would be through VR.
It's very strange. I was developing a project with Mr. Maniratnam in 2008. It was called Maya, and he had this concept for a Las Vegas kind of a thing.
I saw that New York Times film, and you climb up and you see all these people up in the sky. So if you actually want to experience your dead and your body is lying down, and you see everybody is...
Maybe you should do that movie.
It's something that can be done in VR.
Yeah.
Which we probably couldn't do in 2D, and you couldn't even relate to it. But here, you could be traveling through it.
Brilliant.
So it's good for something of that sort.
Hi, Ram. Here.
I saw a small clip.
Let her finish it. Let her finish. Go ahead.
Okay. Ram here. Yeah. When I watched the film, which was about the refugees, I felt that the main difference in watching it was that the audience was more in control than the content owner who was creating the content. So I could actually slip from one portion and go haywire all over the room, see the production design I wanted to, like in the field, go there and actually get my control over what I want to see. That was the main difference I found.
Yeah. So if you're a filmmaker, then you have to direct not one side, it's up, down, right, center, left and back. Welcome to the club.
Because even though it is 360 degrees, it's still the filmmaker who is showing you what he wants you to see. Then what you emphasize is you.
I watched a couple of clips, and one of it was Take Flight, and it was about